the show because as we do every month, we bring on Glenn and Josh, the host of a massively popular podcast celebrating all things LGBTQ, inclusivity, diversity, love. So Glenn and Josh are with us in the Zoom room right now. Gentlemen, good morning. And this episode that drops, by the way, at 10 a.m. on the KUM Podcast Network. Technically, it's already on, so you can download the audio, but the video version, which is, I got to tell you guys, hilarious at 10 a.m. right here on our Facebook feed with the theme being waiting on me to be me. So Glenn and Josh, good morning. And tell us about this session because it was a laugh riot.
Off the day. Good morning. Oh yes, it was. And then it was a laugh. We had laughs and there was also some emotional moments. So this particular podcast is going to be very interesting for all our listeners. So tune in and thank you so much, KOM, for this opportunity as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of ups and a lot of downs, but
yeah,
it's an emotional roller coaster ride, but it's a good roller coaster ride. Something kind of makes you vomit.
Well, I got to ask you guys because, like Sabrina and I did the news together for 17 years. Chris and Bree are, super tenured, broadcasters and everything. But when you do a show with somebody else, right, you have to play off them. And Sabrina would always have this thing because we'd sit next to each other doing the news for all those years. If I messed up, she'd like kick me. Chris does these things like underneath the table that he tells Bree. You guys, when you do your podcast, you guys are bookended at opposite sides of the table, but you guys still have this, this chemistry. And by episode 3 now, you guys are really starting to, I feel, like hit your stride and you guys can kind of like play off each other. So what is it like to kind of guide the conversation and yet at the same time kind of just, let it happen?
Well, a lot of times, when we do sit and get our hosts on, we kind of sit down with them and talk to them and get them comfortable because they're nervous too. So a lot of it, we just say, just talk, be yourself, just be you. Don't mind the microphones and the staff or, Victoria's filming us and or recording us. So usually we get over that hurdle and we'll practice for a little bit and then it goes from there.
Who's joining you guys on the podcast?
For this one, this latest one, we have Trinity Hufana, and then we also have Lana Iglesias. Blondie also joins us.
Nice. So let's go ahead and play this clip. This is from the Off a Days Up podcast. It's part of the KUM podcast network. Blondie just called us the other day.
Yeah.
Bring hot dogs today at their office.
Really?
Are we ever going to get away from this sausage thing? If you're just tuning in, miss a link, miss a lot. You got to go back to our sausage opener.
Yeah,
the sausage monologue.
The meatpacking industry, if they don't become our sponsor after this show, I'm going to be greatly disappointed.
Right on. Don't say meatpacking again, please. Yeah. It's 6:48, so this is a little snippet from the Off a Days Up podcast. Good morning.
My Nina always told me I was in such, I don't think I shared this at the last one, but growing up, before I came out to myself, my Nina always used to tell me, Nenny, it's okay if you like boys, tell me, I will still love you, this and that. Like, that was from her. She was, and I was in such denial with everything, and I'm like, I'm not gay, I like girls, I was so defensive about it, and because I knew that everyone else in the family didn't accept that. So of course I would deny, and you're not just denying the accusation, you're denying yourself when you're doing something like that. Truth. So, I kind of held that in until I was in high school, and then I was more confident in sharing that part of my life with some family members. And, at that time when I told my account to my aunt, she was like, who do you think? You think I don't know who's wearing my high heels around the house? Oh, she caught me. And, it's little moments like that that really sort of bump you closer and closer to telling your truth and living it. Because, you slowly gather the people around you who will have your back and who will have the support to give you that when you need it. And then I remember I didn't come out to my mom and dad because, of the fear of getting the faggot beat out of me.
Right.
And senior year Halloween, I did dress up, as a gag. I always thought I would never transition into being a female because the only trans girls I knew in school, there was only 2 of them, and they were disrespected. They were loud, obnoxious, and stuff like that. But let me get to that later.
Halloween always seems to be that transition moment for everyone.
Because it's like an
let's always
excuse.
dress up as a
It's
girl.
a day that you can
know,
dress up, right?
Well, it's not
Yeah.
only that. It's like I feel like if you do that, you kind of feel a sense of empowerment,
Yeah.
and you find some part of yourself.
Well,
Like
yeah.
I didn't know this was.
I'm
this
just
was
that's
me.
just an observation and a lot
Yeah.
of
That's why they like to say Halloween's everyone's birthday. But you know, I dressed up for Halloween, and then not long after, it was parent teacher conference, and I was actually outed by my Chamorro teacher to my mom, and he was like, "Hey, did you know your boy dressed up as a girl for Halloween?" And like, you know, it was. He stole that moment for me. He stole that moment for me to tell my truth to the people who were raising me.
that it mattered to.
You know, and
anyway.
growing up, I didn't necessarily have the close bond that I have with my mom now, but she sort of like held that piece of information and was like, "Do you want me to tell your dad?" Like, you know, whenever there was something that we disagreed on. So I guess finally, like a week before graduation, she finally told him.
Man, cliffhanger. Dude, are you serious? Where's the rest of it, Jay?
No, that's
Can't leave us
it's
hanging.
So it's gonna be on the KUM Podcast Network. Actually, if you want to
What
grab it right
happened?
now, huh?
We just want to play it now? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
That's what we call a hooker.
The cliffhanger.
Maybe that's not the right word. What do you call it?
Not a hooker. What did you
A
say?
teaser. Because it hooks you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know where I'm going today, guys.
Man, it's been a long week. Don't
Yeah,
worry,
yeah.
guys. It's been a long week for all of us.
But you know, guys, the one thing that really resonates across the episodes is you really emphasize the fact that everyone, and I love how Trinity said that. She goes, you know, this is my truth, and you know, everyone's journey is uniquely their own. Admittedly,
Yes.
for a lot of people, when they come out to their family, to their friends, and everything, you know, it can be very, very hard. Some are harder than others. You know, I guess it's a spectrum,
that I have with my
but at the
mom.
same time, it is your journey uniquely, and you own that, and it's part of who you are, and you should be proud about that.
Yes. Yes, everyone's journey is definitely unique.
Mm.
You know
And
what I
we're
love
glad
about
that
this?
we're sharing it with everyone, and you know, hopefully that helps others, you know, in their coming out experience, or you know coming to themselves and being themselves, being you and living your truth helps them, makes this easier for them as well.
Glenn, you know, one thing I really love about this podcast is how you have so many different generations seated at the same table.
Yes, it's been getting them on has been a challenge because
Yeah.
they're fearful, and I don't blame them. And you can really see how it's been like for some of our older LGBTQ plus community members versus our younger, you know, how life was like back then. And
Yeah.
you know, thank you so much to Lana Iglesias. She's one of the most legendary women here on island. She's a well-known hairstylist back in the day. You know, she even just recently she took care of my sister when my oldest sister passed away. My oldest sister's last request was for her to do her hair. So on her deathbed, I took Lana to my sister's house down in, you know, at my nephew's house in Pago Bay, and she waited for her when she came down there to her house, and we took her in. And my sister's nickname is Doris. Lana sat by her bedside, held her hand, and she goes, "Miss Doris, I'm here to fix your hair and get you ready for heaven." My sister opened her eyes, looked at Lana, and squeezed her hand. That was like the most powerful thing that I've ever seen. But then my sister's son, Frankie, you know, he's a jokester. He just looked and goes, "Dalai Mom, really to the very end? You are true loyal. That's true loyalty to your hairstylist." So
Wow.
that was a really beautiful moment for our family. And, you know, I have Lana indebted to that. Lana also was there when my mother passed away back in 2007. Lana did my mother's hair too. So
Wow.
she's a well-known person in our community, and you know, she's from my village, from Chalampago. So I'll have a lot to thank her for.
Glenn.
So she holds a special place in my heart, Silana.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on this morning, Glenn, and sharing. Kind of got me a little bit there with those stories. But this episode, Jay, it drops today.
10 a.m. on video on Facebook Live, and you guys can interact
right.
with Josh and Glenn and the other members of the
Yes.
panel, Trinity and Blondie and Lana. You know, we're inviting them to watch as well. So to directly interact with you guys in real time.
Yes.
Real quick, Josh, what's some of the feedback that you've been given and that you're receiving from the show?
Well, a lot of it has been really positive. As far as like content, like a lot of people are like, you should try to do this, you should try to do that. I'm like, it's there. We're getting there. Don't worry,
It's coming.
not the
It's
end.
coming. Stay tuned.
Coming.
So are you
There's
guys
a
thinking now
plan,
maybe you guys are
and
going to do like
it's more
recurring
including.
segments or, like a...
Well, we try to cover as much as we can in one episode, but we try to stick to one topic at a time so
Yeah.
we don't run out of ideas too quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's another thing that's
Spacing
really
it out.
That's what's really cool about this podcast too. Is it's you guys are not like media or whatever. You didn't have a podcast, so it's really conversational. And I feel honestly like I'm standing at the edge of the wall, looking out and eavesdropping when I watch and listen to this podcast. Really
yeah,
cool
that's
feeling.
that's something that people have said too. It's like we're sitting in and we're listening to your conversations.
Yeah,
And again, these are conversations when we get together as a group. This is what we're always talking about: life, our experiences, our hopes, our fears. And we want to share that. We're just normal people, everyday people.
Yeah, that's another thing that someone has said. They said it's very unique because it's like it doesn't feel scripted. Like the way he mentioned it to me, like it kind of made me a little bit emotional because he was like, you guys are talking about real topics. You guys are covering a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't know about, and I think it's very good that you guys are getting the word out there.
yeah, and we're so glad to
Yes.
partner with you guys again. 10 a.m. Jay, where
Yes, sir.
and when? Okay.
Yeah, so 10 a.m. right here on Facebook. If you guys want to go to KUAM.com and click the link up top where it says podcast, you guys can subscribe to Hafade Zoo podcast with Josh and Glenn on all podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Music, Amazon, Audible, and everything like that. It's all over the place. So support these guys because they're obviously, gentlemen, you guys are putting your heart and soul into this project and everything like that. And when we are big fans of you because it's a beautiful thing.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you so much for this opportunity as well, KUM, and the link, the KUM Podcast Network.
Got it, Glenn. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
That's right.
Happy Friday.
Have a good Friday.
Happy
Whoa!
Friday. Stay
Best.
safe.
Happy Labor Day, guys.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yep, 3-day
Hi, guys.
weekend.
Eat your sausage.
You had to be there, guys. You had to
Look
be
what
there.
you done.
I know. I'm
Sausage.
sorry.
The conversation continues.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. My bad. I'm hungry, okay? I'm hungry. Okay, Glenn.
Joseph's
Josh.
standing up for Langavisa.
We're going to let you
now.
go before we get in trouble. For real. It's 6:58. This is the link.
We'll go to sports.
Yeah, we're going to do sports real quick. But if you missed the sausage, you had to be there this morning. Jay, we put the show up.
Yeah,
And
you
can go
had to
back.
be there. The four of us may not be here next Tuesday, but
Yeah, yeah.
if we did, we went out swinging, baby.
Yeah, we did, for sure. Double D, the hardest working man in sports on Guam, proud to present. It's brought to you by Cure Alkaline Water and Marianas Irrigation and Landscape. Ladies and gentlemen, the KUAM Sports
Just go.
Link.
Just go.